the New Testament. Today we're looking at, or continuing in Romans, we're looking at Romans 11, verse 22 through 36. This is what it says. Notice, therefore, the kindness and harshness of God. Harshness to those who have fallen, but God's kindness towards you, provided you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you will also be cut off. And even they, if they do not continue in their unbelief, will be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again. For if you are cut off from what is by nature a wild olive tree, and grafted contrary to nature into a cultivated olive tree, how much more will these natural branches be grafted in back into their own olive tree? For I do not want you to be ignorant of this mystery, brothers and sisters, that so that you may not be conceited. A partial hardening has happened to Israel, until the full number of the Gentiles has come in. And so all Israel will be saved, as it is written. The deliverer will come out of Zion. He will remove ungodliness from Jacob. And this is my covenant with them, when I take away their sins. In regard to the gospel, they are enemies for your sake, but in regard to election, they are dearly loved for the sake of the fathers. For the gifts and the call of God are irrevocable. Just as you were formerly disobedient to God, but now receive mercy due to their disobedience, so they too, who have been disobedient, in order that by the mercy shown to you, they too may now receive mercy. For God has consigned all people to disobedience, so that he may show mercy to all. Oh, the depth of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God! How unsearchable are his judgments! How fathomless his ways! For who has known the mind of God, or who has been his counselor, or who has first given to God that God needs to repay him? For from him and through him and to him are all things. To him be the glory forever. Amen. One of the things, as I read this part of this chapter, this idea of God's mercy is just amazing, and it kind of connects. Wednesday night, we started doing a 3-week series on the parable of the prodigal son. And I think that, it's always interesting how things connect. And I think this connects with that idea that the prodigal son, the son that was rebellious and left and told his father, "You're dead to me," that father still loves. And that father still sought out. And one of the things that we asked last night, or I asked, was, who are those in our area who many would say, well, there's no hope for them? Because that's what really the prodigal son means. Is this is someone who's gone, who's left everything behind, and there's no hope for them. And in this passage, Paul is talking about the people of Israel rejected Jesus. I mean, the Jewish people, the Jewish temple leaders especially, were complicit and really arranged his execution on the cross. And so they were enemies of Jesus. And Paul still says, no, there's hope for them. Because God does have mercy. And those who have fallen away can come back. And this idea that there is always hope. There is always the ability to return to the Father. And I think that's something we need to make sure that as followers of Jesus, we hold on to. Because sometimes we can say, well, this person has a past, this person has a past, there's no coming back from that. And that's not the gospel. The gospel is that there is always hope. That God is always reaching out. Like that father who his son had said, "You are dead to me." God waits for us to return, for us to come to him in our sin, in our filthiness, in our ugliness, in our struggles, in our anger, all of that. He waits. And when we come to him, like that father in that parable, he comes running to us. And though we don't deserve it, he gives us sonship, daughtership. With the prodigal son, he gave the best robe, the signet ring, the seal that showed, well, no, I have authority in this house. And he put new sandals on his feet to show you are not a servant, you are a son. That's that idea of being welcomed back, welcomed into the family. I think that connects here with this idea of the grafting of the branches. Paul, in the first part of the chapter, talked about how the Gentiles were like wild olive tree branches that were grafted into the cultivated olive tree that was Israel, and that some of Israel's branches, they were cut off, but God says, but they can be grafted back in. And that there is always hope, that God is never done with us. There is never a time in this world where we cannot come back, where we cannot come to the Father and be welcomed with grace, love, and forgiveness. And that's important for us as followers of Jesus to remember, but it's important for us to remember for those who don't know Christ yet. Those who we might say, well, they are far off, or those who, may have hurt us, to realize, no, this is someone who the Father is working in their life and waiting for them to turn to Him. And the exciting thing is we can be a part of that process as we show people the love of God, as we live out the gospel. May we be a people of hope, not just for ourselves, but for the world. May we be a people who embrace the God who welcomes all who come to Him into the family. Hope you guys are doing well. Have a wonderful day.